There's a few different types of wood finish. Two main ones. There's lacquers and there's oils, and there's pros and cons with both. And Induro that we use is actually right in the middle. So you've got all the best bits without none of the bad bits. So lacquers are very protective in terms of staining. The downside of lacquers is a couple of downsides. The first one is they can give the surface a little bit of a plasticky kind of look. Some of them are really good and you don't get as much of a plasticky look, but it's always there. But the major downside to a lacquer is they're not stain proof. There's no finish that's stain proof. And when it does start to mark, and it's definitely more susceptible to heat marking than an oil is. But anyway, once it does start to mark and build up, you can't refinish it, because as soon as you put more lacquer on it, it just gets repelled by the lacquer that's on there. And what that means is the whole table has to be completely stripped so there's not a trace of lacquer back on it and refinished. And the cost of doing that is pretty much the same as the cost of making a brand new table. So lacquer can be good, but it essentially gives you a disposable product. You've got to accept in a few years' time you're going to have to buy a new table if it's been lacquered. It just depends how tolerant you're going to be to how quickly it builds up stains and how much you look after it. On the other hand, an oil, which can be refinished, the major benefit of an oil is that you can always refinish it as long as it's good quality material, as long as it's solid timber like we use in our standard oak or like we use in our statement oak. With an oil, you can always refinish it. You can repair marks that are in it or just sand off the surface and re-oil it. So oils are very good from a sort of, I'll buy a product, I'll keep it for life kind of. You can always restore it back to mostly. The downside of oils are they're not as protective as lacquers, so the table will show over time, it will show signs of wear and tear, it will build up. So if you're someone who likes things staying pristine, oil might get on your nerves pretty quickly because it is going to show signs of use. Now, we used to use oils. We've used every different kind of oil. I've tested everything. I've had samples sat on my desk. I've put olive oil. I've mixed turmeric with it, so to replicate, Indian food being spilt on, or any kind of food with oil being spilt on there. I've used red wine. I've used obviously water, coffee, all of it, and I've had it sat on samples. Let it soak in for different amounts of time. Cleaned it off. And the Induro finish that we use performs better than anything. So what Induro is it's right between an oil and a lacquer. It's got the protective qualities of a lacquer. It's got even better heat resistance than a lacquer, better scratch resistance than a lacquer, but it's also got the benefit of an oil that if it does ever mark, or if you do want to refresh the surface after a few years, it can be refinished. The same product can be refinished, so it's not got the downside of a lacquer, which makes the product disposable. So with Induro, you're getting all the plus sides from a performance point of view of a lacquer, and all the plus sides of a longevity point of view of an oil. But the best thing about it to me, or arguably the best thing among, if you're balancing it with performance characteristics, is that the look of quality of a table is better than anything. It's not got any of that artificial look that a lacquer has. It's got a pristine look to it. When you rub your hand over it, it's got like a silky smooth feel to it as well. So it keeps the wood looking and feeling as natural as possible with as much quality as possible as well. So I can't imagine that we're ever going to find anything better than it. It's the best that there is.